He has strong memories of his childhood filled with a strong belief in God, which comes from his Christian upbringing. When I was a kid, the church benches were his safe place where he could feel God's love and presence all around him. During those formative years, he saw himself as a one-of-a-kind work of divine workmanship. His understanding of Christian beliefs grew as he went through life, becoming more and more important as the years went by. Even though his spirituality was building, life's many problems soon cast doubt on his identity, essence, and very sense of self. During his teenage years, a harsh truth began to become clear, not in a striking flash of insight, but slowly like pieces of a complicated puzzle fitting together. Born and raised in a very religious Christian family, his journey to self-acceptance was made even harder by more challenges. Inside himself, he fought a fierce fight between values and attitudes that were at odds with each other. He fought this new reality at first, trying to align his true self with the religious views he had learned from a young age. Over time, though, he could no longer deny the strong feelings that were stirring inside him. His homosexuality was a big part of who he was, but he came to accept it over time. His life changed dramatically when he was brave enough to tell his family the real him. This news set off a storm of strong feelings and heated arguments in their relationships. Even though things were bad, his strong faith in God was always a source of hope. He was sure that God loved and accepted him no matter what, and he trusted that God's presence would help him through the unsure but hopeful future that lay ahead. He went through a huge change in his life when his girlfriend died of cancer in 2011. He was deeply changed by the painful fight they went through together while she was sick. The memories, which were mixed with tears and sad thoughts, made a beautiful tapestry of their journey together. After she died, his way forward seemed like a complicated puzzle that led to an uncertain future. He was sad and lonely, and the thought of dying weighed heavily on his mind. His high blood pressure made things even worse. Suddenly, he was in a busy hospital room with a group of hard-working doctors and nurses all around him. It felt like time was running out as cardiologists and a pacemaker worked hard to get his heart beating again. This delicate dance of medicine went on for 30 intense minutes, with the risks of life and death rising with each second. When he came to, he felt incredibly vulnerable and had a strong desire that would not go away. The dry and raw feeling in his throat quickly showed that he was connected to a mysterious machine called a respirator, which helped him breathe when he couldn't do it on his own. But the real revelation went beyond the medical center and the technology that was there. Unexpectedly, he told the nurse who was taking care of him a story that went beyond the normal limits of this world. It was about a short spiritual journey to the next realm, where he met his dead loved ones again and felt very close to them. The nurse's shocked look set off a chain of questions that revealed the intricate details of his amazing trip. Suddenly, his heart stopped beating, taking him to a place very different from the material world he knew. It was an experience he would never forget. His mind went on a trip that went beyond the physical limits of human life. It went to a strange place where the lines between reality and fantasy seemed to disappear. Even though the hospital room was clean, feelings were running high, especially the worry coming from a new anesthesiologist. Even though everything was going crazy, something truly amazing happened. A strong desire to reconnect with a loved one who had died. Even though he knew he was going to die, he really wanted to be with his lover over and over again. As soon as his spirit left his body, it followed a strong pull and ended up in a place filled with unending love. He could see things more clearly in this new world, which helped him find his long-lost love again. Even though his lover had turned into a radiant essence, they were still very close. Their connection was deep and soulful, and they talked without words. Unlike their problems on Earth, this celestial plane showed him his beloved's mother. She was a figure full of unresolved anger and tension toward him because of past mistakes and her dislike of her son's sexuality. When people heard that they were connected, it caused arguments and trouble. But even in this airy space, her presence felt warm and comforting. It got more complicated for him as he learned more about her. Maybe this place was showing us deeper truths and getting rid of old misunderstandings. They made up, and she thanked him for always being there for her while her son was sick. But the peace of their meeting was broken by his beloved's words, which told him that his journey was far from over. Even though he really wanted to stay in this paradise of love, he had to take care of something important that he couldn't put off. Their link slowly faded, like a faraway star merging into the vastness of space. The distance between them was so great that it was hard to understand. He could still remember the mysterious task his beloved had told him to go back and complete. His return was led by a higher power, like waking up after a long sleep. His trip through the stars connected with the very fabric of space and time, bringing him back to the world of the living. Over time, his heartbeat and breathing became more in sync, creating a steady routine that brought him back to his body. He slowly opened his eyes and was met by the bright hospital room and the caring nurses who were there to help him. The feel of the sheets on his bed proved that he was back on Earth. This deep experience with the mysteries of death gave him a new understanding for how fragile life is and how mysterious death is. Even though his memories of the event were fuzzy, like mist on a window, one moment stood out clearly. He was talking to a mysterious person whose face was framed by brown hair and who was dressed in white. This calm voice sent an important message about personal freedom. It's important to go your own way as long as it doesn't hurt other people. Even though some parts of the message got lost, the main idea of their advice stayed with him, a light of knowledge in the chaos of his return. He often feels like cynicism covers up the spiritual parts of his experience that are filled with the light of God. He keeps it to himself and doesn't tell many people about it because it goes against common views and religious teachings. His family and friends don't want to talk about it because it goes against their own religious beliefs. Still, to him, it's still a gift from heaven, a rare gem from a world we can't even imagine. He never caught a straight glimpse of God's face, but he felt a strong divine presence surrounding him. What this experience showed him was how limitless and pure God's love is, which has nothing to do with rank or identity. As a result, it eased his emotional pain, helped him deeply accept himself, and strengthened his faith in a loving, all-encompassing God.